Good evening and welcome to the Hairenik Media Newscast, bringing you the latest headlines from the homeland and the region, along with community news and more. In a recent address to the nation, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan outlined the August 8 U.S.-brokered peace deal with Azerbaijan, signaling a major shift in Armenia's stance on the Artsakh conflict and the return of displaced Armenians. He emphasized that the 2018 revolution was not only about democratic reform, but also aimed at resolving the Artsakh issue, accusing certain forces of exploiting the conflict to undermine Armenia's sovereignty and statehood. Regarding the displaced Artsakh Armenians, Pashinyan called their return unrealistic, warning that even raising the issue could threaten the fragile peace established with Azerbaijan. Further, he openly acknowledged alignment with Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev, effectively confirming that Armenia has dropped its territorial claims to Artsakh. Describing the post-August 8 period as a new era of peace, Pashinyan criticized opponents of the deal as driven by fear, while noting that Azerbaijan expects this shift to be formally reflected in Armenia's constitution, signaling further changes ahead as the region adjusts to a new geopolitical reality. Meanwhile, Azerbaijan continues to make it clear that for relations to move forward, Armenia must amend its constitution. As Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev boasts of a sweeping diplomatic and strategic victory in the U.S.-brokered peace deal, the Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan is under growing criticism for failing to protect Armenia's interests and ensure the country's security. Speaking in Kelbajar, Aliyev asserted that Azerbaijan is a true author of the peace deal, emphasizing that it fully reflects Baku's interests and positions, and declaring Azerbaijan got everything it wanted. He said Pashinyan is simply following Baku's lead. He further announced the OSCE Minsk Group is living its final days, and emphasized the deal will secure a land corridor to Nakhchivan through Armenia's Syunik province, which he labeled historic Azerbaijani territory. While Azerbaijan aggressively expands its military capabilities, forming new special units and acquiring advanced drones, artillery, and fighter jets, Pashinyan's government is stepping back. Aliyev declared, "Our security guarantee is ourselves," warning that any provocation would be met with strong retaliation. In contrast, Armenia's 2026 budget plans to reduce defense spending, which the Prime Minister described as a logical step toward peace, with the Finance Minister confirming a decrease in the military's budget share compared to 2025. This decision comes despite over 200 square kilometers of Armenian territory still under Azerbaijani occupation and the absence of a finalized peace treaty. Critics argue that this move dangerously misreads the regional realities and neglects national security at a critical moment. Meanwhile, as Baku sharpens its military edge and asserts dominance in negotiations, Yerevan is seen as retreating, politically disarmed and increasingly reliant on vague promises of peace. The contrast between the two approaches is clear, and the consequences for Armenia's sovereignty and long-term security grow more severe by the day. During his visit to Yerevan, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian reaffirmed Iran's support for Armenia's sovereignty and territorial integrity, while expressing firm opposition to the presence of foreign military forces near the Armenian-Iranian border. At a joint press conference with Pashinyan, Pezeshkian emphasized that South Caucasus issues should be resolved by regional countries, not external powers. Although the two leaders signed a joint statement and pledged to uphold international borders and maintain bilateral ties, Pezeshkian later acknowledged that Iran's concerns about third-party forces remain unresolved. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghei stated that Armenia had assured Tehran no foreign troops would be stationed in the region and welcomed provisions in the Armenia-Azerbaijan peace deal that ban external military deployments along the border. Armenia and Iran are set to expand transport cooperation with the construction of a second border bridge over the Araks River, Iran's Minister of Roads and Urban Development Farzaneh Sadeh announced during her visit to Yerevan. Under preliminary agreements, the two countries will build a new bridge at Norduz, renovate the existing one, and modernize border terminals. Officials say these measures will boost cargo transport and strengthen a key transit corridor. Talks also address railway development, culminating in a strategic plan for the Persian Gulf Black Sea project, a route expected to play a pivotal role in connecting Iran, Armenia, and Europe. Russia's Deputy Prime Minister Alexei Overchuk visited Armenia to discuss regional transport, focusing on the controversial U.S.-administered transit corridor linking Azerbaijan to Nakhichevan through Armenia's Syunik province. Russia expressed caution, emphasizing that the deal must not conflict with Armenia's Eurasian Economic Union membership or affect Russian border guards. Overchuk stressed respect for Armenia's sovereignty and highlighted Russia's cautious stance amid Armenia's balancing act between Moscow and Washington over regional transport and economic integration. Opposition forces in Armenia have sharply escalated their criticism of Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, accusing him of deliberately leading the country into the 2020 war to justify future territorial concessions to Azerbaijan. ARF Supreme Council Representative MP Ishkhan Saghatelyan said the Prime Minister's statements about remaining Azerbaijani territories under Armenian control are intended to prepare the public for further handovers, without securing anything in return. He also noted that Pashinyan effectively acknowledged Azerbaijani forces will stay in Armenia's sovereign territory. Saghatelyan announced that the opposition Armenia faction will enter the autumn session of parliament with its own agenda, emphasizing the need for united opposition efforts. While acknowledging setbacks in efforts to change the government, he expressed confidence that the situation is not irreversible and reiterated that mass street protests remain a viable path if properly organized. In a Facebook post, MP Artur Khachatryan of the Armenia faction pointed to Pashinyan's recent admission that he consciously avoided concessions prior to the 2020 war, allegedly to avoid weakening Armenia's independence. Khachatryan argued this is an admission of having knowingly allowed a war that caused thousands of deaths, the loss of Artsakh, and parts of Armenia's territory, while enabling a corridor for Azerbaijan. He questioned whether this was part of a calculated strategy to normalize relations with Azerbaijan and Turkey through defeat. In a statement on the 35th anniversary of Armenia's Declaration of Independence, the ARF Supreme Council of Armenia honored the memory of those who sacrificed their lives for independence and reaffirmed its steadfast commitment to strengthening Armenia's statehood. The ARF recalled the historic declaration on August 23, 1990, marking the start of Armenia's path to independence despite political challenges and unity among diverse forces. The statement emphasized that independence was achieved through the will and unity of the people on September 21, 1991, with the declaration forming the constitutional foundation of the Armenian state. Acknowledging the hardships faced by Armenia, Artsakh, and the diaspora, including war and socioeconomic struggles, the ARF warned against recent attempts to undermine the declaration's role in the Constitution. The party stressed that protecting this foundational document transcends political differences and is essential for preserving Armenia's sovereignty, democracy, and future security. On this occasion, the full text of the historic document was displayed on the balcony of the ARF Simon Varatsian Center, marking the occasion with a public tribute to the country's foundational principles. The Artsakh National Assembly urged OSCE member states to veto the proposed dissolution of the Minsk Group, an initiative supported by Armenia and Azerbaijan, until clear guarantees are in place for the dignified return of Artsakh's displaced Armenian population. The Assembly emphasized its readiness to cooperate constructively with OSCE members, highlighting that the crisis remains unresolved as Artsakh's Armenians continue to be uprooted and denied their fundamental rights. Artsakh National Assembly Speaker Ashot Danielyan urged all OSCE participating states to exercise their authority, including veto powers where necessary, to prevent the dismantling of this framework until robust guarantees are in place to ensure the safe and dignified return of the displaced Armenian population of Artsakh. He warned that declaring the conflict resolved while 150,000 people remain uprooted would legitimize ethnic cleansing and stain the OSCE's record. Former Pentagon official Michael Rubin criticized Pashinyan for excluding displaced Artsakh Armenians from Armenia's political system, fearing their opposition after the 2020 war. With Artsakh's institutions dismantled, over 100,000 displaced people lack representation, and Pashinyan opposes giving them voting rights, claiming it could provoke Azerbaijan. Rubin also highlighted a contradiction, noting that while Armenia denies Artsakh Armenian citizenship and political rights, Pashinyan claims authority to negotiate on their behalf, calling into question the legitimacy of any agreements made in their name. Artsakh Armenians gathered in front of the government building, demanding the exhumation and transfer to Armenia of family members killed during the 2023 war and buried in Artsakh. They urged the government to negotiate with Azerbaijani authorities to facilitate the process. Relatives of prisoners of war and missing persons also joined the demonstration, calling for transparency and information about the fate of their loved ones. Formal appeals were submitted to both the government and the National Security Service. In a powerful display of defiance, two jailed Armenian archbishops, Mikhail Azerbaijan and Bagrat Galistanian, used court proceedings to denounce a state-led campaign against the Armenian Apostolic Church, drawing sharp comparisons to Soviet-era repression. Archbishop Mikhail Azerbaijan, head of the Shirak diocese and jailed on charges of calling for the seizure of power, told the court his case echoes the 1937 Soviet execution of Bishop Artakh Sambatyan's. Noting the irony that his own address is on Bishop Sambatyan Street, he warned, "One day I will be justified. Your children will be ashamed." Supporters call the case political, citing rushed proceedings and fabricated evidence. In a parallel case, all 18 defense attorneys representing Archbishop Bagrat Galistanian and 17 others boycotted the court hearing, denouncing the trial as politically motivated. The defendants faced charges of terrorism and unrest, accusations widely viewed as an attempt to criminalize dissent and intimidate the Armenian Apostolic Church. Addressing the court, Archbishop Bagrat thanked his legal team but urged them to abandon what he called performative legal formalities, declaring, "This court is not the place to ensure justice." Together, the two trials underscore what rights groups call a dangerous erosion of Armenia's democratic standards and a coordinated effort to marginalize the church through politicized prosecutions. Armenia's Office of the Representative on International Legal Matters confirmed a Stockholm arbitrator's emergency ruling on Electricity Networks of Armenia, ENA, is legally binding and enforceable. The decision halted government efforts to nationalize ENA, owned by detained businessman Samvel Karapetyan's family. Despite government plans to challenge it, experts doubt this will succeed under international law. The dispute raises concern about Armenia's investment climate and treaty compliance. In response, the Pashinyan administration hired U.S. law firm Arnold & Porter for $3.2 million to handle the arbitration. On the occasion of World Humanitarian Day, the Human Rights Union of Nagorno-Karabakh refugees called on states to hold Azerbaijan accountable for crimes against civilians during the conflicts, in line with the Hague and Geneva Conventions. They urged monitoring of Armenians illegally detained in Azerbaijan who face political persecution and mistreatment, including unexplained injuries. The union appealed to international organizations to uphold humanitarian law, respect the rights of Nagorno-Karabakh's people to equality and freedom, and strongly condemn Azerbaijan's ongoing racial hatred. Mikhail Shvitskoy, the special representative of Russian President on International Cultural Cooperation, condemned Azerbaijan's destruction of 25 monuments and busts of prominent Armenian figures and servicemen in Artsakh, calling it a dishonorable act that erases the shared history of peoples. He stressed that while politics may influence culture temporarily, cultural ties between Russia and the Caucasus are deep-rooted and enduring. Shvitskoy emphasized the importance of preserving these cultural connections for the future, highlighting that relationships between people go beyond political conflicts. About 100 displaced Artsakh children aged 6 to 15 are attending a week-long summer camp in Zanka, Hungary, organized by Armenia's Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs with local partners. This is part of a controversial plan to send 1,000 Artsakh children to camps in Hungary in 2024, under a deal between Armenian and Hungarian officials. However, Hungary's role is highly contentious due to its strong ties with Turkey and Azerbaijan, including backing Azerbaijan during the 2020 Artsakh War and a notorious 2004 case where an Azerbaijani soldier was pardoned and celebrated after killing an Armenian officer in Budapest. Critics warn these Hungarian state-sponsored camps may function less as humanitarian initiatives and more as tools of indoctrination, pressuring Armenian children to normalize or sympathize with Turkey and Azerbaijan, despite the trauma of displacement caused by their aggression. Artsakh's human rights defender Geram Stepanyan has criticized Hungary's actions, pointing to its participation in the Turkic states summit in occupied Shushi, its obstruction of EU condemnation of the Berdzor blockade, and its parroting of Azerbaijani positions at the UN. At the U20 World Wrestling Championships in Bulgaria, Armenia's Gaspar Terteryan claimed the world title by narrowly defeating Uzbekistan's Ahmed Khodirov. The final ended in a 1-1 tie, but Terteryan won by last-point advantage, securing the gold medal in a closely contested match. It's an exciting weekend for the Armenian American community as the AYF Greater Boston Nizhdet chapter hosts the 91st Annual AYF Olympics, a major tradition in the Armenian Youth Federation and a cornerstone event for families, athletes, and supporters from across the country. Joining us tonight to tell us more is Isabel Hagopian, Chairwoman of the AYF Central Executive. Isabel, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the basics. For those who may not be familiar, what are the AYF Olympics and who can take part?
Yeah, so the AYF Olympic Games is a tradition, like you said, annually every year on Labor Day weekend. It began in 1934 when a resolution passed at the annual convention for a sports festival to happen where chapters compete together athletically, fraternally. So it's been continuing since then. And obviously, over the course of, the past few decades, the games have changed immensely and it's expanded and gotten very large. And for members that can attend, obviously it ranges from all different ages, grandparents, young kids, families, alumni, AOF supporters. Everyone comes together for this one weekend. And who can compete are AYF, active AYF members, 16 years and above, and they're allowed to participate in these sports. And we obviously welcome other AYF regions as well. And this year we do have other AYF regions competing in our games.
Let's talk about the program this weekend. What's on the schedule?
Yeah, so the weekend kicks off Thursday night. The Boston chapter has organized a social event for 21 plus at Tall Ship in Boston. And then the games officially begin on Friday morning. At 8 a.m. there will be the AYF Olympics Open, the golf tournament every year. And then around the same time, there will be a tennis tournament at 8 a.m. at MIT. And then later on in the day, starting around 4:30 p.m., there will be a swim meet where everyone that was playing golf and tennis will go and gather there. And then shortly after tennis, everyone will head back to the hotel and get ready for the alumni night that's starting at 7 p.m. at the hotel ballroom. And then after the alumni night concludes, where the alumni are, there's an award ceremony for a few that are where the King, Queen, and Radiant Spirit Award nominees and recipients get their awards. And then following that, there's an AYF dance where the Yera Queen band will perform. And then we kick into Saturday, which is when the softball tournament starts bright and early. And then we'll have the Norkef ensemble also as the entertainment for the softball tournament. And then obviously during the softball tournament where all the families are there, there will be a picnic where the picnic committee that have been working hard with the Boston steering committee will be preparing delicious food for everyone. And then Saturday night we'll conclude with Arame and his band. Arame is coming from Hayastan, so that's very exciting, and he hasn't performed at the AYF Olympic Games before. And then Sunday will be the track and field meet, again, starting very early at 8:30 a.m. And then Sunday night will conclude with the AYF Olympic Grand Ball, and then the AYF Central Executive will award all the winners at that Grand Ball that night.
Well, that's a full lineup. For those watching tonight, is it too late for people to come out and attend any of the games or events?
No, never too late. We welcome everyone to come to support the AYF Olympic Games. As we said, it's our annual tradition, our biggest and most highly anticipated event every year. So it's a great way to reconnect with old friends, alumni, and be part of a great weekend with over 2,000 Armenians that come together. So please check out ayfolympics.org if for more information, for any timing or locations if you missed it. I know there was like Ngirani said, it's a jam-packed weekend, a lot of information thrown out there. So just please check our website if you have any questions. It'll have all our details on there.
Fantastic. Before we let you go, Isabel, what makes the AYF Olympics so special in your opinion?
Yeah, the AYF Olympics is more than just games. It's more than just a competition. It's a celebration of being Armenian. I don't know any other event where that many Armenians come together one weekend and it's sort of even habitual. Everyone knows every Labor Day is AYF Olympic Games. So generations come together all united based off of being Armenian. So it's a great weekend, great tradition that the AYF has.
Isabel Hagopian, Chairwoman of the AYF Central Executive, thank you again for joining us and best of luck with the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, if you're in the area, don't miss the 91st AYF Olympics. It's a celebration you won't want to miss. That's all for tonight's broadcast. Thank you for joining, and don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X. Good night.